With Season 7 of Friendship is Magic being out for almost a month, and since I've just finished finals, I think now is a good time for me to start reviewing on this channel again. But since I'm 4 episodes behind, and because I'm not really a brony anymore, I'll make these reviews more of a quick review, listing the positives and negatives of each one in a straightforward fashion before moving on to the next episode. So with all that said, let's begin. Celestial Advice, the first episode of Season 7, and also the only season premiere of the show, to my knowledge, that is not a two-parter. Thank God! One of my issues with the previous season premieres was that there was a bit of padding inserted just to extend the runtime, and the pacing was a little janky in certain cases, i.e. the crystalling. This episode has a much tighter pace to it, thanks to it only being a one-parter, great comedy, thanks to the fan-favorite character Discord, a good premise, the Twilight potentially having to say goodbye to Starlight at the celebration party, which was also executed pretty well in my opinion, expanding on Celestia's character relationship with Twilight, and even an ending that I genuinely thought was executed pretty well. Sure, Starlight didn't leave Twilight in this episode, but thanks to this episode, we the viewers now know that if the situation does indeed come up in the future, which based on some of the newer episodes definitely seems possible, we know Twilight will be ready to let her go. You know, unless the writers completely forget about it. Certainly wouldn't be the first time. Overall, great way to open up the season, and I highly recommend it. All bottled up. Released the same day as Celestial Advice, this episode focuses on Starlight trying to get the cutie map back, aka the thing that was barely ever used in the show, while Trixie starts to unintentionally get on Starlight's nerves. Now, while I do like the premise of the episode, as well as the lesson at the end about how bottling up your emotions/anger is a bad thing, my main issue with this episode has to do with the B-plot of Twilight and her friends going on a retreat. I'm sorry, but I really didn't care about what Twilight and her friends were doing in this episode. Not even the song this time around was all that great. In fact, the only thing that sort of helped the song for me was when the guy running the event said that because of their song, they didn't beat the record previously set for said event. But outside of that, this was still a really solid episode, and I do recommend giving it a watch, especially if you're a Starlight or Trixie fan. It's not as good as Celestial Advice, but it's not bad either. Next up, we have a flurry of emotions. Have you ever watched an episode of a show where the main character has to take care of a kid while they have their own things to do and it ends up being a disaster for the main lead? That is basically this episode. But despite the cliche premise, this episode does manage to execute said premise decently well, and I do sort of like the dynamic between Twilight and her niece, especially since this is one we haven't really seen when it comes to Twilight. Sure, a few of the other main characters have siblings/younger family members to interact with, but Twilight doesn't really have that outside of Spike, and that one is more of a teacher-assistant relationship if you ask me. But yeah, if you're a fan of this kind of premise, you'll probably like it. As for me, it's a solid episode. Finally, we have Rock Solid Friendship. And yes, based on that title, Maud is in it. Now here's the funny thing about me. While I didn't necessarily watch all the episodes during my time away from this channel, I did watch Maud Pie's introduction episode, and I genuinely liked not only the episode, but Maud's character as well. And now that we're in Season 7, I'm happy to say that Maud is just as great, if not better, than what she was in Season 4. Her comedy is still pretty good. I love the chemistry with her and Starlight. I like seeing more of Maud's character get fleshed out in this episode. Hell, the only thing I really didn't like was Pinky, and that was because she was annoying at points, especially during scenes when Maud and Starlight seemed to be enjoying themselves and getting along. But then again, that was likely the point, so I can't completely fault the episode for that. So overall, I really enjoyed this episode. Hell, I'd say it was one of the best of the season thus far, with the only competition being Celestial Advice in my humble opinion. So that concludes my mini reviews on the first 4 episodes of FIM Season 7. Did you enjoy them? Dislike them? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, thank you all for watching, and take care.